Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm Najee Wilkins along with Craig Sager. Remember, the show is powered by IBEW Local 613. You can catch the show on the Peachtree Sports Network via YouTube TV, also on the CBS Sports Local streaming app Zeem, and on the Atlanta News First app. Another jam-packed show for you guys for today. We'll be bringing on Houston County head football coach Jeremy Ayers in our third segment. Our second segment will have a semifinal, basically recap, and also talk about some of the other matchups that will be happening over the next few days. Craig Sager, obviously our baseball expert here, will go into detail about that in our next segment. Our Fastbreak Headlines, obviously, to start us off, and then we'll do our Hall of Fame segment. If you guys don't know, go to scoreatl.com. We have, obviously, the Hall of Fame story there, so check that out. Everybody that got inducted, we're going to do a deep dive into that from each of, obviously, the eras, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, going to the 90s, the 2000s, 2010s as well. And then we'll wrap up with Hayden's coverage and his high school hits as well. But Craig, how you feeling on this Wednesday afternoon?
Feeling great. So before we get into Fast Break, the only thing I'll talk about is the Hall of Fame and kind of explain what this class, this 33-person group, it's the fourth annual class. Some of the things that IJ was talking about with Todd, he felt that we didn't really miss on anyone the first couple years, but there were a couple guys that got overlooked that in hindsight were like, man, why didn't we put him in the first 2 years? He was probably good enough. One of those guys, though, was Sterling Sharp. For whatever reason, I think it was the first year we were doing the automatic Pro Football Hall of Famers from the state of Georgia got in. So that was 9 the first year. Sterling Sharp was in that conversation. Is he going to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Is he not? Well, now he is. So I think that's what makes this class cool to me. He's the 10th player to get that automatic bid, and because he didn't get in last year or the year before that, he now joins his brother Shannon. He joins Champ Bailey, Mel Blunt as those Hall of Famers that gets the automatic bid. So even though he's not an inaugural class, you think about in the future, let's say 20 years down the road, Travis Hunter's a Hall of Famer. He'll get that automatic bid. So even though Sterling Sharp, maybe I would have voted for him. Well, I did vote for him, but the first couple years he didn't get in, he now gets that automatic bid, which I feel like is just as prestigious as getting into that first class.
No, I think that's obviously a great point, and it'll be, like you said, easier. Obviously, didn't get in with that first class, but going forward, setting a nice precedent, obviously, for Hall of Famers to come.
Yeah, and that's what's exciting. We're going to have new Pro Football Hall of Famers from Georgia. It's not going to be an every year thing. The fact that we had 9 in the history of the state of Georgia, and then we just added a 10th with Sterling Sharp. There'll be a couple, or every couple years, probably another one in there. But that's what's interesting to me. So we're going to see who gets voted in, but also who are those Hall of Famers in the Pro Football Hall of Fame that are going to be joining the class. And congrats to them, the first brothers to do it from Glenville.
And there you have it. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into it with our Fast Break Headlines. Hopefully we'll be able to show the video. But BDG Guerrero sets a North Cobb Christian deadlift record. Obviously, shout out to him. He is a senior, so he's going to already graduate. But he squatted 615 pounds here, I just hear deadlifted. Obviously, that record, 615 during a weight training session with North Cobb, officially setting a new record. The senior finished his season with 38 tackles this past year, along with 4 quarterback hurries, an interception, and also a pass defense and a fumble. So great job by him setting, obviously, that deadlift record.
That is very impressive. When I was at the peak of my strength, so I think the most I ever did, I did 385 on bench 3 times, but it was my 20th birthday, and all I wanted to do was try to deadlift 500 pounds. I ended up getting it, and then that was the most I ever did. 615, that is a lot, and if he's lifting that in the high school level, no doubt he's going to be at 700 within a year. That is a great head start. Deadlifts is a great exercise. It really shows the full body strength, the stability of the legs. Very impressive. Congratulations to him on that mark. And he's got to send us that 700 video in a year.
For sure. Definitely got to get that and put that, obviously, on the platform. Shout out to BDG Guerrero setting a new North Cobb Christian record. All right, let's go to our next headline. Pike County and Savannah Arts will battle for a chance at history. There have been new Class 2A champion crowned as the first-time champion on Friday night when Pike County and Savannah Arts face off at Mercer University in Macon. The two programs are meeting in the playoffs for the first time since 2019 when Pike County won 7-3. Pike County enters as the higher seed, being the #1 overall seed. The Pirates have proven that the seeding correct, winning the first 4 playoff games 32-3. Pike County is having a magical season, winning 19 of the team's 21 games. The team is led by a trio of 20 goal scorers. The team's leading scorer this year is Anna Bottoms, who scored 23 goals. The team's second leading scorer is freshman phenom J.C. Fillingham, who has 22. And last of the 3, Sophie Moss, who has 20 goals for the year. The 3 have combined for an impressive 65 goals this year.
Yep, and the Savannah schools, obviously Pike County is a southern school too. We are really seeing some outstanding athletes, and I feel not only we're seeing some of the South Georgia, Savannah area teams make it deeper into the playoffs. They have more superstars now. I feel like the recruiting's taking off there. It's because of the club teams. I think this has been a very impressive year for the sport of soccer, and cannot wait to see the grand finales. All right, headline 3, Buford former athletic director Dexter Wood is selected into the Gwinnett Sports Hall of Fame. Very well deserving. We know how outstanding of a job he's done at Buford. In the long history of Buford High School, few individuals have made as many contributions to the school's athletic program as Dexter Wood has. He has spent 30 of his 52 years as an educator and coach touting the Wolves. The Ozark, Alabama native came to Buford in 1995, and things have never been the same. In his 10 years as head football coach, Wood revitalized the program as the Wolves went 118-17, took 4 region championships and 3 straight state titles, 2001 through 2003. That team, in those 4 years, amassed a 47-game win streak, which is a state record. He says, "We're pretty competitive in everything we do." He retired from AD in 2017 and now serves as a part-time role as senior athletics director. He said, "My last 5 years as head coach, we played for 5 state championships and won 3 of them. I think that kind of set the tone and stretched to our other athletic programs so they could compete at a statewide level." He will be getting into the Gwinnett Sports Hall of Fame. That will be May 19th at the Gas South Conference Center in Duluth.
There you have it. All right, next headline, Kip and Landon. I want to get Craig's reactions to this. They won the boys track and field first title ever in their program history, regardless of the sport. Kip and Landon obviously won the 2A boys track and field championship. The first time in 43 years. They ran the fastest 4x100 relay in state history in any class. Kip is a 14-year charter school, had state runner-up finishes in cheerleading, cross country, but finally broke through for his first state title. Kip had no individual champions, but prevailed on balance. Kip essentially clinched the 2A title in the next to last event, the 3,200 meters. Runner-up Franklin County won the event, but Kip's Nasir January and Josiah Owens were 4th and 7th respectively, with each running personal best times. Jaden White was a runner-up in the 800 meters and 5th in the 1,600 meter. Travian Calloway was 2nd in the long jump and 7th in the 100 meters. Also scoring for Kip were Michael Shields, triple jump, and Warren Trewick and Malik Hurd with the long jump. This is what their head coach had to say. It was a true team effort. We had to score points in everything from the 100 to the 3,200 meter, different relays and field events. It was an exciting thing to see. We preached that we don't have to have individual champions to have a team champion. That's even more special because we accomplished it together.
I think it's an unbelievable story. So not only did they win with team depth, no individual champions, this is the first state title in any sport in the school's 14-year history, a charter school. It's just such a great accomplishment. We'll have Hayden on the final segment. He's been covering Class 2A. We've seen Kip make noise across the board. A basketball team was outstanding this year. Then they've been very close. But to win the first ever state title in track and field, such a difficult sport to do it in, where you really need that depth through all the events, I know that's going to mean a lot to them, and can't wait to hear from Hayden in the final segment.
For sure. All right, Craig, you get the last one.
All right, headline 5, 11 host sites welcome the state's best at the GHSA Golf Championships. The fields have been set for the season finales, 11 locations across Georgia in the state's longest golfing days. They'll be Monday and Tuesday. The area and sectional results seeded the championship fields and set up a 2-day schedule with some of the best golfers in the state ready to hit the links. So this would be coming up, and obviously you got the boys and girls, all the qualifiers are set, and they have to divide it at these different sites. Should be very exciting. And we will, of course, have all that coverage at scoreatl.com.
100%. Now, Craig, obviously, we're going to talk about in our next segment coming up baseball. I don't want to reveal too much because we're going to break it all down. But just anything that's caught your eye just early on in these series.
And which one?
Just any of these series, like whether it's the pitching, whether it's a lot of runs. What's been maybe a factor that's caught your eye early on in some of these games?
Well, I think with baseball, the biggest result to me is what Lowndes did last night, sweeping Etowah. Lowndes, when they won so they are the two-time defending 7A champs. When they won that first year, they were going up against a Parkview team that was a very, very heavy favorite. It was a senior-led team. They had some big names, but, I mean, this was a Parkview team that was like number 3 in the nation. They took that title. They replaced some people. People were wondering, well, last year was a great accomplishment. Can they do it again? They did it again, and now they just knocked off the highest-ranked team in the state at home. I feel like what they've done the last 3 years, if they're able to three-peat this year, it is really going to be one of the more difficult and impressive three-peats we've seen because the competition has been insane, and they've really been kind of wearing that South Georgia label just with a lot of pride, and it's going to mean a lot to all of South Georgia if they're able to three-peat and just be that premier program, taking down all these Atlanta Giants.
Would it be safe to call them a dynasty, you think?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's just how difficult it's been for them. They have had to go through a gauntlet each time. They've done it just outstanding. I mean, it's so difficult to do. So credit to them. They just beat Etowah. People thought that could have been a state championship matchup, and they'll be playing with a ton of confidence once they get back to that championship stage.
100%, guys. Well, that is just kind of a little precursor, kind of just to look at baseball. We're going to do a deeper dive coming up right after the break on Patriot Sports Network, so don't go anywhere.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, welcome back, Georgia High School Sports Daily. So, Craig, obviously we're going to break down some of these matchups and obviously what's kind of happened already or transpired. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start 6A or do you want to start at the bottom of the bracket in private?
Yeah, let's just start 6A. And obviously, I already talked about Lowndes. I picked Etowah in that series, so I got to give them a ton of credit to be able to get that sweep. They've been outstanding in the playoffs. In the first round, you see they are on that top left quadrant. They matched up with Cherokee, who I thought was one of the more dangerous number 4 seeds. They took that series to 3 games, got it done. Since then, they've swept Mill Creek, Brookwood, and then Etowah this last round. This might be one of their more difficult runs to the championship that we've seen the last 3 years. They obviously beat Grace in the finals last year, Parkview the year before that. Now they're going to wait the winner of Walton and North Gwinnett. I don't believe they faced either of those teams this year. Should be very interesting and be a tough matchup. But The Walton-North Gwinnett series will be interesting. North Gwinnett kind of blew them away in that first game, 13-5. Walton answered 8-6. This series is being played at North Gwinnett. And we have a big Game 3 tonight. That'll be 5 p.m.
And then real quick, just on that game, just what do you think are the keys to Game 3 after kind of seeing North Gwinnett get a lot of runs, but Walton coming back getting that Game 2 win?
Yeah, I feel like both of these teams, it's like you can't let the dam break in any of these innings. I mean, you see Game 1, North Gwinnett, they're able to rally in an inning, put 5 on the board. As long as they can keep it close, I feel like it's going to come down to the very end. Walton's got to rely on the defense. There's been a lot of runs in this series, so a lot of players are playing with a lot of confidence, just turning those double plays and getting out of jams. I think that's going to be the key.
For sure. All right, let's go to 5A. Obviously, Houston County is the big story here. Sweeping Loganville, very obviously impressive for them. Just what's your thoughts? 4-1 victory, Game 1, 5-2 victory. Really defensive battles there. But just what's your thoughts on Houston County sweeping Loganville?
Yeah, I mean, all season long it felt like Pope, Houston County, and Loganville were the 3 top teams in this classification. They were so dominant, having success against other classifications. But Houston County clearly, with the last 2 rounds, sweeping Pope, sweeping Loganville, shows they have been the best team in Class 5A this season. Noonan's been red hot. I think they had a 20-game win streak at one point this season. They haven't dropped a series all year long, and great results against River Ridge, allowing just 2 runs in the sweep in the last round. So that will obviously be the key, limiting that Houston County offense. We will see what Noonan has on the mound.
There you have it. All right, let's go to 4A. Another sweep here. Obviously, BT defeating Allatoona 3-0 and 3-2, so very impressive there. And then how about Cartersville? Same thing. Against Wayne County, handling their business with big-time victories, 14-6, and then I believe that's 7-2. So just talk about that, Craig.
Yeah, Cartersville, man, they have been outstanding. I've got to be honest with my rankings. I actually dropped them out probably 5 weeks in, and it was because I think they either lost 2 of 3 or got swept by Allatoona, who you saw reach the finals. Since that series loss, Cartersville hasn't dropped. I think back-to-back games have been phenomenal. Big win over Wayne County. And then with BT and Allatoona, I was looking to see how were they going to respond after that crazy series against Marist, where they had to empty their entire bullpen. Every single one of those games, all 3 were decided by just 1 run. They won with defense against Allatoona. I feel like Allatoona had one of the better pitching staffs in the state this season. Guys that can go 7 innings, pitch no-hitters, very deep, hard to beat in 3 series. For them to get that sweep, it's huge. I think that Cartersville BT series will be electric.
There you have it. All right, let's go to Class 3A and obviously recap there. So this one, another obviously, basically a split, Craig. Just what's your thoughts? Really good matches with Peach County, obviously, in Cherokee Bluff, and then obviously Pickens in Jones County.
Yeah, Troops kind of come out of nowhere this year. They've been probably like number 8, 7, I think as high as number 5 in the polls. But this bracket got completely blown up in the quarterfinals when Pickens knocked off Harlem. I believe a 2-time defending champ that has only lost like 3 games in the last 3 years. They swept them, but now they're in a tough situation with Troop. They're going to have to go on the road tonight and play that Game 3 after losing Game 1, 8-0, winning by a run in Game 2, so that'd be a big one. And then on the other side, you got Cherokee Bluff and Peach County. Cherokee Bluff has made a bunch of finals appearances the last several years. I feel like Peach County hasn't made as deep a run, so this is a big opportunity for them to put that baseball program on the map.
There you have it. All right, let's go to Class 2A now. Take a look at that bracket. All right, so Class 2A, we got Pierce County versus Rockmart, and then we have Morgan County, obviously, versus Franklin County in that one. Rockmart obviously swept the first 2 games, so they have already punched their ticket. But we have a Game 3 coming up, obviously, between Franklin County and Morgan County, Craig.
Yeah, and when you look at these results, you can just, see how intense they were. So in each of the first games, you had a lot of runs scored. Morgan County wins 10-7. Rockmart wins 8-4. In that Game 2, both of them were defense. You can tell both teams really tightened up, played more cautious. You see Franklin County with a 2-1 victory, Rockmart with a 1-0. So I love when you have a high-scoring Game 1, a low-scoring Game 2. You have no idea what's going to happen in Game 3. These winner-take-all matchups, it's going to be very exciting. I feel like anyone could come out on top. I think Franklin County has probably had the biggest win out of this classification this year, knocking off Prince Avenue Christian. But we'll see if they can take down the #1 seed, and that might be an even bigger victory.
All right, there you have it. All right, let's go to Class A Division 2 or Division 1. Obviously, Gordon Lee versus Vidalia and Pepperell versus Jeff Davis. Pepperell's already punched their ticket, Craig. Very impressive showing for them, limiting obviously Jeff Davis to just one run in each game, and then obviously Gordon Lee versus Vidalia.
Yep, I had Gordon Lee and Jeff Davis as my pick, so Pepperell proved me wrong on the right side of the bracket. Big win over Jeff Davis, 5-1, 4-1, and then we're waiting this Gordon Lee Vidalia. Vidalia took that game 1 2-0. I believe that was Gordon Lee's first loss within the classification, other than that one in the opening round against Brantley County. So that is a big deal, them putting pressure on Gordon Lee.
All right, let's go to Class A Division 2. And obviously there you got Wilcox County versus Emmanuel County Institute. And then you had Lanier County versus Bowden. Lanier County, very impressive victories for them. Really putting it on, obviously, Bowden in Game 2, 9-2 victory there. And then obviously a Game 3 coming up.
Yeah, Bowden was the only team in that Final Four in that classification that had ever won a state title. So this one is going to be guaranteed to crown a first-time state champ now. You see Lanier County had a tremendous win over Bowden, 6-1, 9-2. Lanier County has been #1 all year long, and I'm excited to see what they can continue to do.
100%. All right, the big story here, Craig, is Class A through 3 a private. I mean, 2 sweeps, but how about Calvary Day sweeping the powerhouse themselves, Prince Avenue Christian, an 8-3 victory in Game 1, 5-2 victory, obviously in Game 2, and Savannah Christian beating a really good Wesleyan team.
Yep, that was a huge upset. You see Calvary Day and Savannah Christian giving us that all-Savannah championship that we wanted to see, and I was mistaken. I want to make sure I corrected that. Lanier County did win the title last year, but they've been #1 all year long, and they're going for that repeat.
Yes, sir. And then just real quick, just quick preview, Craig, of the Savannah, obviously, title game. Just what do you like there? Who do you think comes out on top?
I got to give the edge to Calvary Day, just beating Prince Avenue Christian, a 2-time defending state champ. I feel like they have what it takes. We talked to their head coach yesterday. Very impressive group he's had. Obviously went to Calvary Day. He's been there a long time. And Savannah's been crushing it in these lower classifications. And this is a very difficult private bracket. They should feel very happy giving them that all-Savannah championship showdown.
100%. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll obviously have way more coverage on ScoreTL.com. We'll have baseball recaps all week and all weekend long as we kind of put a close to some of the spring sports here in the GSSA and in Georgia. All right, coming up after the break, a very special interview for you guys. We're talking to Houston County's head coach, Jeremy Edwards, so don't go anywhere.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. It's time for an exclusive interview with head coach of Houston County, Jeremy Edwards. So let's not waste any more time and bring him right on.
How y'all doing?
Good, Coach. What's going on? How's everything going?
Oh, it's been going good. Got a good night's sleep last night after a long practice, and back at it again today.
100%, Coach. Just what were, I seen you out there obviously yesterday, but just what were your takeaways from Bear Hunt? Obviously, a lot of coaches was out there. So what's your overall assessment of just how it went?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a good opportunity to be able to practice at our stadium in front of our parents and to get a lot of college recruiters in to get a firsthand look at our guys. The idea is really to allow those guys to be able to go see all the other schools, but then, come and watch us from start to finish uninterrupted so that they can see our guys and just kind of interact with them. And it's nothing more than just a normal practice, but it's super positive for our program, and it's something that our kids look forward to.
In your eyes, I know it's still early, but just how good do you think this team can be in 2025?
I'm not ready to make any kind of, comments on that, but I like where we're at. We've had a tremendous offseason. We've got good players from great families, and, our culture is real strong. And, I know that's kind of a buzzword now that's mentioned a lot, but, our kids understand the accountability piece that we bring to the table and what we do and what we stand for. And it's just really positive right now on our side of town.
And then, Coach, can you talk about just Coach T? I talked to several of your players yesterday, and they kept talking about just the weight training program, the nutrition he has them on. They're adding weight, but healthy weight, and they're building muscle. Can you talk a little bit just about that?
Yeah, our strength and conditioning coach, Coach Zach Teisler, does a great job in the weight room, planning it, programming what we do. In addition to that, we're big on nutrition and making sure these guys are fed daily and that they're given the protein and things that they need to replenish their systems after, extreme workouts. We got them all for 2 periods a day, which is a true blessing. And so by that, we tax them pretty good in the weight room. So we got to make sure that we put it back in them. And it's something we make an investment in here, and it's something we'll always do.
And then, Coach, last before I throw it to Craig, just want to ask you, any top or anybody outside of your top players that have been really standing out to you, these young guys we should watch out for?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, we've got a 26 linebacker, Jace Jordan, that I feel is grossly under-recruited. He's starting to pick up some steam after making a lot of plays in spring. He's done a great job. Austin Stinson is a rising star. He's a 27 running back who, a track guy that, I think he had a 10.7 700 time and was on the 4x1 state team that finished, I think, 8th in the state. They didn't quite run a 39 or whatever they ran at Langston Hughes, but they gave it their best nonetheless. But, we got several guys. Ken Hammonds has done a great job. He's going to be a junior. He's a 27, playing both sides of the ball, tight end and outside linebacker. I could brag on all of our kids. It'd take us all day.
And, Coach, you highlighted some of the skill guys, some linebackers, but in your eyes, what position group or side of the ball really gave you confidence during spring ball where you feel like they're going to be ready to lead you guys out the gates?
Well, I've been really pleased with our linebacker group. We're real deep at that position. And we've had some guys that are in and out. We've got one of our top players, Weston Ard's been kind of balancing baseball and football. I would say our linebacker group is the deepest on our team right now. We've got so many guys, so we're trying to figure out how to get them all on the field. Our offensive line has really done a nice job this spring. We've got some new faces there that, from graduation we had to replace. And so felt really good about them. Obviously, we've got some really good wideouts here at Houston County. And so and we're developing depth at that position. So, and I'll have to add, I've been really, really pleased and some feedback from coaches. Our kicker, Harrison Ludwig, has done a nice job. He's really gotten stronger in the offseason. And I've been super impressed with what he's been able to do special teams-wise for us.
Absolutely. And then obviously with Antoine Hill, he was a multi-year starter for you. You guys put him out there as a freshman. So I know you guys don't have any problem starting the underclassmen. He might have been an exception just with his maturity. But who were some of the freshmen that maybe you guys had on the radar in the years past as middle schoolers that got more involved in spring this year?
Well, we did actually invite all of our rising freshmen quarterbacks to come out and go ahead and get a head start, which has been good for them. It's very rare to be able to play a guy as a freshman in the league that we play in. I mean, it's just so tough with our region and opponents. So I think that's, you hit the nail on the head there with AJ. I mean, he was different. He's built different. He was a big kid and was able to do it. But I think even as a sophomore, we played a lot of sophomores last year. Zion Paul got a lot of playing time at outside linebacker. Jacoby Bryant got a lot of playing time at nose guard for us. And so I think that it's, we've got a lot of young, good players. But from a defensive standpoint, returning really 9 out of 11 with a handful of really good seniors, it kind of helps us, as far as that side of the ball. But, the days of, at least in our league, Craig, to be honest with you, I just don't see a lot of freshmen getting a chance to come in and do that, to be quite honest.
For sure. And then I want to just ask about this offensive line you guys have returning. Obviously, be a huge part of this outstanding offense you guys run. What did you see with that group during the spring, and what are they looking like?
Well, Braylon Mills is our left tackle, who is, you can't miss him when you come to our practice, 6'7". He's got all the early offers and really based off potential. He didn't get a lot of playing time last year. We've seen a lot of growth in him through the weight room. He plays on our basketball team. We're big at HoCo about playing two-sport guys, and he did a heck of a job in basketball this year. Really starting as a sophomore on a really good team. And through that, it's a different sport, but I saw some of the, the nastiness in the paint that we want to see on the football field, and hopefully it'll translate. And this, he's really had a nice spring for us this point, and look forward to him doing great things. So I think he's taken the next step. So we're looking forward to him. J.W. Fights, our center, he kind of leads the charge. He's kind of the quarterback of our offense, just kind of helps us get our tempo going. He'll be a senior. Brandon Stokes has picked up a couple offers. He's going to play right or left guard. So those three guys right there really come to mind. When we talk about that offensive line group, but our O-line coach does a great job. Kelly Chastain, we've been together for several years now, and I got full faith in him that he'll get them right when we open up against Brookwood and the Mercedes-Benz.
All right, two-part question for you, Coach, to wrap us up. Some underrated guys I want to talk about, and obviously your stars. So underrated guys, Western Ard, he always catches my eye as a superior linebacker. Zion Paul, who you mentioned as well. These guys can all play at a high level. What have you seen from them in terms of their growth and development? And then just talk about your stars. They have a great relationship, Kayvon Conchero and obviously Jordan Smith.
Yeah, those guys are all as advertised. We were fortunate last year. We made the Elite Eight. We played Milton, and they were obviously a phenomenal football team and do a great job with their program. But the very next day, or Monday, I should say, we're here back at school, and you'd think that those guys would want to take a break. And what's the case? Those guys were at my door asking, can we get a ball? We want to go out. We want to work. I'm like, don't you want to take a break? And they don't. That's what we got here at HoCo. We got kids that love ball. They're not concerned with all the other stuff that goes on. They just want to work and get better. And, that really, speaks volume to our culture, what we've tried to build here over the course of the last 3 years, going on our 4th year. And so, Jordan Smith, Kayvon, MJ Mathis, Weston Ard, Jace Jordan, all those guys. Trey Leary, he's a phenomenal corner for us. He makes plays, maybe an inch shorter than what they're looking for, but you're going to get a true football player, and he's getting a lot of, traction right now in the recruiting world too. And someone's going to get a steal with him. So I got to mention him. But yeah, there's not a time that I don't drive by on Highway 96, passing through if I'm taking my family out to eat or whatever. And those guys are out there practicing. They're always doing something. It's almost to the point where I've got to tell them, hey, take some time and rest and recover. But I'd rather have it that way than the other way, to be honest.
For sure. Well, Coach, I want to say thank you so much for just having us out there. Let me come obviously see your great program. I've always loved HoCo, Coach, but I was left even more impressed after leaving. So I just want to say thank you for extending the invite, letting us come down there to just showcase your program.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming. It means a lot, and you guys are welcome here anytime.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Coach Edwards. All right, guys, after the break, we'll go ahead and talk about the Hall of Fame inductees, and then we'll have Hayden on for his high school hits afterwards.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting six figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. It's now time to talk about, obviously, the Hall of Fame. We obviously did a story on it on ScoreTL.com yesterday and unveiling the class. A lot of notable names in here. We're going to get, obviously, Hayden's take on it, Craig's take as well. Remember, this was founded in 2022, so we are entering, I think, it'll be our fourth class.
Yep.
Right, fourth class. I want to make sure I was right, fourth class. So it's going to be a lot of fun, obviously, to break this down. Before we start, obviously, we're going to do a deep dive. Anybody that caught you guys' eye that they're glad that's in or that you're happy to see kind of just be into the Hall of Fame?
I think it's one of the newer guys, Greg Reed from Lowndes. Unbelievable defensive back, running back. He is the only three-time first-team All-State player in the highest classification in that entire 2000s decade. It was his impact just for 3 years. He's a guy that got talked about a lot this year with the ballot. I think he was on the initial one, but that was when we had like 140. It got narrowed down. He got taken out of it. But once we kind of put his career back under the microscope, Todd wrote an incredible bio on him. We put him back on the ballot this year, and he was one of the highest vote getters. So I think he's someone that's going to headline this class, and it's exciting because people will be able to look back at how outstanding his career actually was.
For you, Hayden.
I think for me, when you looked at it was Carlos Rogers. Like, something happened, he got knocked off. He wasn't added to the ballot the second year. He barely missed it the first year. And now you look at it, he is so deserving of being in this class. Like, he just barely missed out on the inaugural class, and that class was loaded. I mean, everyone on that class was college football Hall of Famers, pro football Hall of Famers. So to see him get in, it's just really, he belongs here.
100%. Well, guys, let's go ahead and unveil the list here live on the show. And let's go ahead and start. I guess we can start with GIA, and also with, obviously, the odor as well. Let's go ahead and reveal it. There it is. Pre-1948, Tom Nash of Washington Wilkes, Johnny Stumpy Thompson of Tech, and then you had Jack the Ripper Roberts of Albany, obviously from pre-1948. Any comments here, guys?
Yeah, what's so impressive about these guys, there obviously wasn't the recruiting profiles. It was hard to get the word out. It didn't have social media and stuff. But these guys, when you look back at and look at the coverage that was out there, these guys were walking legends. They were just so impressive. There's headlines, hey, come watch Tom Nash play this week. They were just legends at their time. So, I mean, these pre-1948 ones, like we're talking about 100 years ago, even though the media coverage wasn't what it was today, they were still able to really become household names.
100%. All right, let's reveal the next class of guys that got in from this decade, 1948 to 1959. Jack Rudolph of Grady and Frank Pitts of Archer.
Yep, with Jack Rudolph, he was an outstanding player at Grady, and then he ended up serving as the defensive coordinator at Valdosta for all those years. So this is a situation where a lot of his players are getting in. That was, of course, the Valdosta team that won that mythical 1991 national championship. And then his son, Coleman Rudolph, who was on that Valdosta team, he wasn't on the defensive side of the ball. He also got voted in this year. So with Coleman Rudolph and Jack Rudolph, Jack, of course, was a great player and coach. They'll be going in together as a father-son duo. Pretty well deserving. Obviously, that will mean a lot to their respective communities.
All right, let's go to the next one. The 1960s, Kim King of Brown, Walt Frazier of Howard, and Paul Gilbert of Athens. Obviously, Walt Frazier is the headliner here. He was a phenomenal, obviously, basketball player in his legendary career. Super excited to see him get in.
Yeah, I think when you look at these three, I think we need more. I wish we could get more information about stats and what some of these players in the GIA did. When you look at, they're all three quarterbacks, and I think that's mainly because those are the players that we have the most about. That's not taking anything away from these three. These three are more than deserving. I mean, Walt Frazier apparently was he's one of the greatest basketball players to ever come to the state, but was also one of the most dynamic athletes at quarterback of his time and maybe of all time. But I'd love to see moving forward what we can get from some of the other positions from the GIA as we dig deeper into this.
That's a good point, Hayden. I love that you brought that up. All right, let's go to the 1970s now and unveil who made it there. A lot more names here. Danny Buggs of Avondale, Stan Bounds of Valdosta, Reggie Wilkes of Southwest Atlanta, Chip Banks of Laney, Lindsey Scott of Wayne County, Willie Galt of Griffin, and Freddie Gilbert of Griffin as well. Two Griffin guys.
Yeah, a lot of these guys from the 70s have been on the ballot before. We see a lot of them get in. I feel like they were the most represented in terms of how many new nominees there were, how many there were to choose from, but these are all outstanding names. You see the Griffin teammates right there at the bottom, Willie Galt and Freddie Gilbert, both on those outstanding Bears teams. They will be getting in together.
All right, let's go to the 1980s now. Really good names on this list. Knox Culpepper of Lovett, Harris Barton of Dunwoody, Steve Wallace of Chamblee, Sterling Sharp of Glenville. He finally gets in. His big brother was obviously in our inaugural class. And then you have Chris Gordaki of Redan and Coleman Rudolph, a kind of a slept-on name, but glad to see him in this class from Valdosta. Had a really great career, obviously, with the Vikings.
I think when you look at this group, the two names that stand out are Harrison Barton and Steve Wallace from those two DeKalb County schools. Those are two guys that anchored the 49ers dynasty offensive line, helped block for Joe Montana, and just more than deserving to be in. I can't believe they're two of those guys that I really can't believe it's taken this long for them to get in.
Well, what's crazy, so you mentioned how great those 49ers teams were. Everyone knows what they did, the multiple championships. You have Willie was he was at Chamblee, and then Barton was at Dunwoody at the same time in DeKalb County, and then they ended up anchoring as offensive tackles on those teams. So it's exciting to see them, obviously, two guys that won Super Bowls together, now being able to get into the Hall of Fame together, growing up right down the street. Very exciting to see both of them get in this class.
For sure. All right, let's go to the 1990s. Some more good names on this list. Robert Toomer of Worth County, Robert Edwards of Washington County, Keith Brooking, a Georgia Tech, obviously legend in East County, the standout. Kirby Smart of Bainbridge, we know what he meant, one of the best athletes to come through the state. Kurt McGill of Brookwood, Fabian Walker of Americus, and Carlos Rogers of Butler.
Yeah, I mean, some really familiar names on this list, and obviously Robert Toomer, he broke Herschel Walker's state record mark. He's number 3 all time, 7,841 yards. But, I mean, you see Kirby Smart right there, Kurt McGill, Carlos Rogers, who Hayden talked about, and then Keith Brooking, obviously an outstanding linebacker for Tech and the Falcons.
All right, last but not least, the 2000s. You got Josh Nesbitt of Greene County, Cam Newton of Westlake, Greg Reed of Lowndes, and Isaiah Crowell of Carver Columbus. I'll talk real quick on this one. I just love that Crowell was able to get in. What he was able to do, obviously, with Carver Columbus was phenomenal. Definitely deserves to be in. And then just Cam Newton, just his impact that he had on the game. It was more than just what he did on the field. It was also off the field, I think, too. Hayden, just obviously his story, went to Florida, didn't work out, had to go to community college and had to rebuild his name, go to Auburn, ball out there. Ends up winning a Heisman, a national championship, and then ends up going to the NFL, getting so close to obviously the pinnacle of the sport, nearly winning a state champion or winning a Super Bowl, I should say, and going 15-1, winning MVP. But his impact was much larger, obviously than on the gridiron. I have nothing but a ton of respect for him and glad he's getting in.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he kind of changed the quarterback position. Just watching what we saw Tim Tebow have that running ability. Cam Newton, his athleticism and what he did at all 3 levels was unbelievable. He is well-deserving. He would have gotten in earlier, but this is the first year he was eligible now that he's retired.
Yes, sir, certainly. All right, guys, that's going to conclude our Hall of Fame unveil. Coming up after the break, we'll talk to Hayden for some pretty good stories he's working on. So don't go anywhere. Come right back on the Future Sports Network. All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. Obviously got Hayden on to join us, obviously, for the show. Just did a Hall of Fame segment. But before we talk about your great list, Hayden, I want you to just talk a little bit about just your thoughts. I know you cover 2A and have your blog. What are your thoughts on Kip Atlanta winning the first ever state championship in his program history, regardless of any sport?
I think what we've seen recently with Kip Atlanta is they've gotten better and better at most every sport. They were really good in basketball this year. Their girls' soccer team was really good. And I think when you look at that program, I think overall that's a young school. I mean, I think when I was covering them in basketball, because I wrote multiple things on basketball, it's only been like 10 years. And it takes time to develop a program, especially for a charter school like Kip Atlanta is. And I think they're falling down a similar path like a Hateville Charter did a little while ago, where they had grown into a really good football program. They ended up winning a state title in football. And I think when you look at Kip Atlanta as a whole, that's a program that if they can continue down the track they're going to be a really good program, not just at one sport, but at all sports.
And yeah, real quick, what would you say is a bigger deal? The fact that they finally got that first ever state title, or just the success they've had across the board this particular year?
I think the success across the board. When you look at one state title, it's a huge deal. I'm not saying it's not. But to be a top 10 team in multiple sports really just says something about your athletic director, your administration, and the coaches that they've hired, and the community around the school.
Yeah, for sure. This is a huge year for them, and obviously that first one, I feel like it's showing people they have arrived, so watch out for them.
100%. All right, guys, so Hayden has something special that he's working on. Obviously, he's going to have a 6-week series from what he told me. So make sure you go to scoretl.com and get the latest there. But he's highlighting some of the best players in the 2028 class, kind of before they blow up. I mean, Zachary Bellew, we already know he has a lot of offers from North Cobb. He'll be a player to watch. Prince Mook Aminu, obviously, for Woodward Academy, is another really good player. But, Hayden, who are some others that we need to pay attention to here in the state?
So I looked over, I don't know how many names, name after name after name. I went through as many schools as I could think of, just looking through players. And so yesterday I released quarterbacks and running backs. And when you looked at quarterback, one guy that I was really impressed with was Chandler Dyson out of Warner Robins. Already 6'4", already 215, is everything you want in a pocket passing quarterback, and is not a bad athlete. I mean, on the basketball court, he's dunking. Like, this is a guy that's, when you look at Warner Robins over the past 2, maybe 3 years, they haven't had a lot of consistency at the quarterback position. They've had good quarterbacks. Judd Anderson was really good. He's at Miami for a reason. But they haven't had that guy that's going to start 3 or 4 years. I think he can be that guy. Another player that I really like was Stephen Brown from North Gwinnett. He's a running back. He didn't get a ton of playing time last year, but they had a really good running back room. When you look at him, he's big. He's 6 foot 190 already, but he also he's really quick. He has that agility that you really want in a running back like that. And when you watch him run, he has really good vision and is able to run between the tackles like a lot of these young running backs aren't able to do.
Very true. And then what's your thoughts on just Bode Spence? I mean, he's obviously getting keys to the car. Team that was really good last year, obviously Hayden, East Paulding, 10-2, replacing a lot of their playmaking time. No Javian Parker, none of their playmakers on the outside. So he's going to be young, but develop it with young talent too.
I think when you look at Bode Spence, he has all the tools necessary to be the quarterback in the state. Like 6'3", 185. He's not as physically developed as someone like Chandler Tyson or Chris Miller yet. He's not that 200-pound guy, but when you look at him, we got to see him in Georgia Elite 2 years ago. He's really grown, not just physically, because all these guys have grown physically. Most of them have grown 2 or 3 inches since they've entered high school. But I think when you look at the film that he had from last year, it showed tremendous growth week to week. And if he can continue that, he could be a high 3-star, 4-star kind of guy.
And I want to ask you real quick about A.J. Sneed, South Gwinnett, a very athletic prospect that was able to make your list.
I think when you look at A.J. Sneed, he is the ultimate athlete. Speed kills at whatever position it is. When you have a guy that's that athletic at the quarterback position, it's just a weapon that every college wants. He has a lot of work to do. He's really raw as a quarterback. He's not developed as a passer. That's why C.J. Peoples is starting over him, even though he's an amazing prospect. I would not be surprised if he was kind of like another guy on this list, Christian Peacock, who's transferred from North Cobb to Walton last year, where he was playing all over the field just because you can't keep him off the field. He's just way too talented.
And I think to your point, you know, Hayden obviously with South Gwinnett this year, you're going to need another athlete who can get the ball out to in space. They got some guys, Evan McDowell, obviously, but you're going to need a Snead that you get the ball to in space and let him eat up.
Yeah, I think when you look at Snead, it's one of those things of you may be playing him as a quarterback during important times, but he's not going to be your every down quarterback. And as he develops into more of a passer, you can have these sets that are made specifically for him and his skill set.
That's a good point. And then obviously, you know, who's another name that you think maybe is underrated out of this list that we need to watch out for?
I think C.J. Payne is really, really talented. Younger brother of Alex Payne, who's now at USC as an offensive tackle. He's grown a lot. I mean, he's gone from under 6 foot when he got into Gainesville last year. Now he's 6'4", still needs to put on some weight, about 175. But it's one of those things of he has the talent and the physical gifts to be this elite athlete and this great player. He just needs to put it all together. And right now he's going to be competing for that starting job at Cherokee Bluff.
100%. Well, guys, that's going to do it, obviously, for this segment, Hayden's High School Hits. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll have another show tomorrow, same place, same time, right here on the Peachtree Sports Network. We'll catch you then.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting gogcso.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together, we can make a difference.